Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, word to my brethren in Gambia. Shout out to Gambia. Shout out to Africa. Now, it's been a couple days since, or yeah, maybe about a week since I made any videos. I've been relatively busy, but good things happening in life, and here we are again to talk about this great sport of pugilism. Boxing. Now, this video that I'm doing today is going to be a little bit different because this is something that I've been thinking about. So, Amir Khan, I was looking at his age the other day, and I just realized this guy is 30 years old. So, Amir Khan's been in the game for a little bit, and I was looking at the welterweight rankings, and I was looking at where he was at on Ring Magazine. So, you had Amir Khan number 6, Keith Evans rated number 1, Kell Brook 2, Sean Porter 3, Pacquiao 4, Bradley 5, Khan 6. Earl Spence 7, Danny Garcia 8, Jesse Vargas 9, and Lamont Peterson 10. So when you look at these top 10 welterweights, right? 1, 2, let's see, 1, 2, 3. 3 of the top 10 welterweights have fought, and then Porter's fighting soon, so that's 4. Brook is fighting soon, so that's 5. And Spence is fighting soon, so that's 6. And that would make, outside of Khan, only Vargas, Bradley, and Pacquiao haven't fought. And the ironic thing about that is the fact that those 3 guys are all top-ranked guys. So maybe that's a huge reason why they're having a hard time finding fights. But regardless, 6 of the top 10 has either fought or scheduled a fight relatively soon. So I was thinking to myself the other day, I was like, when you look at this division, you look at Danny Garcia, look at Earl Spence Jr., look at, Manny Pacquiao still being in the mix, Kell Brook still being in the mix, Earl Spence in the mix, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. The welterweight division is as far as depth goes, is a very stacked division. And my thing with it, I've always been, I was asking myself as I was thinking about Amir Khan was, not only where does he fit into the whole overall landscape of the welterweight division, but does Amir Khan, because let's face it, guys. Let's face it. Amir Khan, if he didn't open his mouth and talk so much, he would be irrelevant at the weight. And as far as what he's been able to accomplish at welterweight in the ring, he has been irrelevant. He's been an irrelevant welterweight fighter. Many would make the argument, and I know I might get Shady Slim on this video because he's a big Amir Khan fan, but many make the argument that, hey, Brendan, Amir Khan is undefeated at welterweight. He's beaten Collazo and Devin Alexander and Algieri, but Bulls, who for the most part were all 140 pounds. He never really beat a true welterweight and proved himself to be a true welterweight. So I like Amir Khan, and I'm gonna take you guys back to 2014 when if you guys remember 2014, December of 2014 to be exact, Amir Khan fought Devin Alexander, and that by far, to me, in recent memory, was his most impressive performance. That was the best version of Amir Khan we've seen in the last 3 years or so. He was very fast. He showed good snap on his punches. Maintained an incredible pace for 12 rounds that very few fighters in boxing, even right now, could maintain outside of the guys in the smaller weight classes. I thought it was not so much him beating Alexander that was impressive, but the way he maintained his pace in that particular fight, how he threw so many punches and was able to place them so well against Alexander. Now, granted, I gotta preface that by saying that Alexander was a very, good matchup for Khan. It was someone that he had faster feet than, he had faster hands than, and he stands right in front of you. So while Alexander, was a good fighter in his prime, which I don't believe he was in his prime when he fought Khan, but when he was in his prime, he was a solid fighter. At that point in time, he was someone who was made to order for Khan, so I knew that. But still, regardless, nobody had beaten Alexander that decisively. He pretty much whitewashed Alexander. Alexander probably won maybe 1 round at best. So at this particular time, when Khan did beat Devin Alexander, we had Amir. There were 3 potential opponents for Amir Khan after that fight, and it was this point in his career where he was in a very, very great position because, it looked like he was pushing very hard and trying to force that Mayweather fight which in my opinion it would have been a very good matchup due to the fact that, I think Amir's range, his range and his speed could give Mayweather some problems. Now, I think Mayweather probably would have adjusted, and Amir is very easy to hit. So I believe after a couple rounds of seeing that speed, he would have got used to it, and he probably would have been counterpunching him all over the ring. But that's still not to say that Amir Khan wouldn't have given him problems and wouldn't have been a much harder fight for him than some of his more recent fights against guys like Berto or Robert Guerrero or guys of that nature. I think Amir Khan would have been one of the toughest matchups. Maybe his toughest matchup to date if he fights that version of Amir Khan, because that was a very confident Amir Khan. So there was that fight. There was a Pacquiao fight, which if you guys remember, it was in January of 2015. They had met at a boxing gym in the UK, and that's when the talks were at the all-time high for the Pacquiao Khan fight, and that eventually just never happened because eventually the Mayweather fight happened. So Khan didn't get a chance to fight Pacquiao, his former sparring partner, and then as we know now, in 2017, they had another fight that was supposed to take place on April 22nd in the United Arab Emirates, but then that didn't happen. So that fight fell through on multiple occasions, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we get to see it. But at that particular time, it would have been more interesting because that version of Amir Khan coming off the Alexander fight, I believe would have given most welterweights problems. Now, keep in mind when we talk about this version of Amir Khan, if we go back and we look at the BoxRec rankings, the Ring Magazine rankings, the Ring Magazine rankings from that year, obviously you had Mayweather and Pacquiao, Mayweather being the ring champion, Pacquiao being number one. So you had those two guys at the top, no debates there. Then you had Amir Khan's arch rival, Kell Brook, who I'm also going to talk about later on. Khan was ranked third and slightly above guys like Bradley and Marquez. And then when we think about these PBC guys who are now towards the top of the division, Keith Thurman, who's now currently rated number one, it was rated 7th back then. Sean Porter, who's rated in the top 3, was rated 6th. So these guys were less established, and they were coming up through the ranks, and there was a lot of intrigue about them, but they didn't necessarily have the star power that the guys at the top of the division like Mayweather, Pacquiao, or even at that point, Khan had a lot of star power. Being that he had been in big fights. So with all that being taken into account, Amir Khan was in a big position. The Mayweather fight was on the table. The Pacquiao fight was on the table. But the most makeable out of those 3 fights, and this is no secret to anybody who was following Amir at the time, was obviously the Kell Brook fight. Now, Kell, at that time, before Khan had fought Devin Alexander, Kell was he became IBF champion 4 months before Khan fought Alexander. So as Khan's going into the Alexander fight, Kell Brook is a title holder. So it's not like Kell Brook was just some nobody or no-name fighter that was trying to get a name off Khan. Obviously, he was not as big a name as Khan at the time, but still a champion, had beaten Sean Porter and had proven his worth in division, being that he was a title holder. So that was obviously the most makeable fight, and Khan had talked a bunch of trash in years prior to Kell Brook about how he could pretty much light him up and beat him with ease, because I guess they had a sparring session and he was getting the best of Kell, according to him. And then that fight never happened because Amir Khan wanted the Mayweather fight so bad, and I don't blame him. I don't blame anybody in boxing, but he chased that fight and he sacrificed. And I gotta say this because nobody really talks about this. Because in the YTBC we always have people that say, "Oh well, it's either Khan sucks and he was never that great," or we have people who love Khan and say Khan is undefeated at a welterweight and these guys ducked him. But in my humble opinion, I think. Was there some ducking on the part of Floyd Mayweather? Obviously, I think Mayweather knows it would have been a tough matchup for him. I still think he probably would have beat Khan because Khan doesn't know how to change this variation and speed of his punches, and Mayweather, after seeing that for a couple rounds, would have adjusted and started counter-punching him all around the ring. But what I wanted to say was, Amir Khan's greed. I think he sacrificed the prime of his career for greed, for money, for the big money fights and the lust of fame. Obviously, did he deserve those fights? Of course. I think he had a valid case for the Pacquiao fight or Mayweather fight, but the timing of it was off. The mega fight, the biggest fight in boxing history, was on the table, and guess what? Mayweather and Pacquiao made it, and they made stupid, crazy money, so you can't fault them for that. the onus was on Khan to get another fight done. And at that time, it would have been perfect for him to fight Kell Brook, because you look at Kell Brook when at the time he fought Sean Porter. To be fair, Kell Brook was a very seasoned pro, so maybe that's another reason Khan knows in the back of his head why he didn't fight him. But he had 33 fights when he had his fight against Sean Porter was 33rd fight. And if you look at Khan has 35 fights in total, and Kell had that 30 plus fights back in 2014. So the experience as a pro, I think maybe might have scared Khan, and not just that, the fact that Khan knows that he gets hit a lot, and Kell is a big welterweight, a strong welterweight. I mean, we saw in some of those rounds against Golovkin now, where he was, doing some good work on Golovkin. So if he can do good work against Golovkin, there's no doubt about it. That if he lands one of those straight rights or uppercuts or left hooks on Amir Khan, that it'll do a number on him. So it was a dangerous fight. I think Khan, for the most part in his career, has always been very conservative when it comes to things like that. But if you think about it, right? So it's 2014 or 2015 when he's really in that driver's seat. He could have fought, Pacquiao or Mayweather, but that didn't happen. So his best option outside of that was Kell Brook, an IBF champion, a huge name in the UK, and someone that was someone that a lot of people wanted to see him fight. And if they fight at that particular time before Khan gets sparked by Canelo and is looked at as even more damaged goods, then that fight generates what? You're probably looking at maybe a $10 million payday for Khan. So he's going to get a big payday. It's going to be a big event. And if he beats Kell Brook, he's an IBF champion. And then all of a sudden you're looking at, Pacquiao, you're looking at Mayweather after that, whoever would have won that fight at the time, which, wanted to be Mayweather. Looking at either one of those guys, and you now have leverage in negotiations because now you're the champion. And when I look at Khan's career, it's just so many missed opportunities. Not just out the ring with who he chose to fight, but even in the ring with his own style. I think, and I've always said this, Virgil Hunter ruined his style, because you looked at when he was with Freddie Roach, he places his punches a lot better. I think he's always one of his big problems. If you look at Khan, when he punches, although he's a great combination puncher and he's fun to watch, he doesn't turn them all the way over, and on top of that, he throws them too fast and he doesn't know how to place his punches. So he might throw real fast, but it doesn't have the best effect on the other fighter because he doesn't know how to place his shots. They'll land, but they're not going to have their full effect. It's almost like that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons I like Roman Gonzalez so much, and that's one of the things that why Roman is so good. He varies the speed of his punches, so that when they land, that they're as effective as possible, and that makes Roman Gonzalez so hard to beat, even though he just lost recently. But I'm saying that's why I like him. I almost compare it kind of like you look at basketball, right? I'm a big Charlotte Hornets fan. My favorite basketball player, maybe of all time, is Kemba Walker. Just made the All-Star team this year. One of the reasons he became an All-Star was because, if you look at his first couple years in the league, Kemba Walker didn't know how to play at different speeds. He couldn't, when a big man set a screen, he would either just come around the screen real fast, or he would just shoot on the screen because guys go under the screen, and they would give him space to shoot. Now when you look at him, it's not the same speed all the time. He might slow down on the pick and roll. He might be faster on the pick and roll, and as a result of that, we're seeing Kemba shoot higher from the 3-point line, split pick and rolls, and that's what's taking his game to another level. And he's a 20-plus point per game scorer and one of the best 3-point shooters in the entire league. And all that was because he just learned how to change speeds. Same thing with Khan. Khan would be so much more of a better fighter if he just learned how to vary his punches. And if he knew how to do that in 2014, I think he probably would have knocked out Alexander, and it would have been a more stationary performance. But that's neither here nor there. I'm just giving you guys my assessment. So my thing is, you look at that time in his career, and it was a lot of missed opportunities because he was just so hungry for those fights, and he did deserve at least one of them, based on the fans wanting to see him fight and how he was moving up gradually to the welterweight rankings. So now the question that I'm addressing is, does Amir Khan have what it takes at 30 years old, being knocked out by Canelo, not really have beaten anybody of note at welterweight, and had proving himself as a 147-pounder, can he actually be not just good at welterweight? I'm not even asking if he can be good and become a champion again. That's asking something entirely different within itself. I'm asking, can the guy just be relevant outside of his interviews and him talking? Because I talked to Amir Khan. I interviewed him. He was here at the WBC convention in December. I asked him face to face. I said, Amir, when's your next fight? And Amir looked at me and he said that we're looking at something for maybe April or March or sometime in the first 4 months next year. Well, I'm making this video. It's April 1st now. It's April Fool's Day, and still nothing new on Khan. No opponent, no date, no rumor, nothing. So the question has to be asked: can he be relevant at welterweight? And honestly, the answer, and it's sad to say this because I love Khan. I root for the guy anytime he fights. The only time I probably root against Khan if he fought someone would probably maybe be against Kell Brook because I like Kell Brook. But outside of that, I love Khan. I think he's an exciting fighter to watch, but he's not gonna ever be relevant at welterweight again. I think I've come to grips with that, and people, for the most part, unless you're a huge Khan fan, have to come to grips with that because the guy just doesn't have what it takes anymore. He's not as confident as he used to be, and that's a big thing in boxing and in life in general. If you don't have your confidence, you don't have anything. So his confidence isn't there. That's number one. Number two, when I saw him at the convention, he was heavy. He was at least walking around at like 175-ish. He was fat. I'm not trying to be mean, but he was fat. I have pictures to prove it. The dude ballooned up a weight. Now he's cutting back down, and that stuff messes with you. It just doesn't seem to me like the hunger is there. So he has all that going against him. He has the fact that the younger welterweights who are maybe towards the bottom 10 of the welterweight division, like Thurman and Porter and Brooks still been around the same spot. These guys have all gotten better, and he's gotten worse. So he's got that working against him. The fact that the division is deeper and probably better than it was 3 years ago. Because you look at 3 years ago, let's see, number 10 was Diego Chavez. He's not really anybody anymore. He's a tough guy, but never really the best fighter in the division. Maidana's retired, but he was tough at the time. Guerrero is not a good welterweight. Marquez is pretty much retired. He's semi-retired. Bradley's not fighting anymore. So the division is a lot stronger because the division is a lot more active. Earl Spence, Kell Brook, even if you just look at the bottom 10, look at the last 3 fighters from 8 to 10 at welterweight, as according to Ring Magazine. You have Danny Garcia, a guy that people don't like. Maybe you thought he got outclassed in his fight against Heath. Maybe thought he won. Maybe thought it was closer than the judges thought. But Danny Garcia is still, I know he's not 30. I believe he's 28, 29-ish, and he's still a dangerous fighter, a good counterpuncher, someone that can compete and defeat any one of. I honestly think, I'm not gonna pick him against Kell Brook or nothing like that, but Danny could give Kell Brook problems. Danny could beat a Sean Porter. Maybe if he could, I don't know about Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao's too fast. But Danny Garcia can compete with anybody, I think. Beating them is a different thing, but competing he could. You have guys like Jesse Vargas who, damn near knocked out Tim Bradley, beat Saddam Ali, who was supposed to be a world champion someday, derailed the hype train. And he even had some decent moments against Pacquiao. So he's not a bad number 9. And then look at number 10, Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson's a very, 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 very solid fighter. PED user, cheater, absolutely. But aside from that, as far as his actual boxing skill set, he's a good fighter. So the division is deeper. And Khan, with Virgil Hunter in his corner and just building so many bad habits, I don't see how he'll ever be, not even a world champion. I'm talking I can't ever see him being a top 5 fighter in the division, like a legitimate top 5 fighter. His best days are behind him, and it's sad because around that time he really had a chance to do some historical things. I think if he would have fought Mayweather, he had a great chance of beating him. Put a Pacquiao, he would have had a solid chance of beating him. Now, would I have picked him in either one of those fights? Probably not. But that version of Khan could have beat pretty much, in fact, let's see. That version of Khan would have at least defeated, um, 6 of the top 10 welterweights. I think he would have beat Chavez. He beat Maidana already, but I think he would have beat Maidana again. He would have beat Guerrero. He would have beat Keith Thurman. He would have beat Marquez. Oh no, actually I don't know about Marquez. Well, actually no, maybe not, but I don't know. The chin is the only reason he wouldn't beat Marquez, but for sure he beats Bradley, he beats Thurman, he beats Guerrero, beats Maidana, beats Chavez, maybe beats Porter. So I can say with confidence he beats 5, maybe 6 of the top 10 welterweights. And then for the rest, I don't know. But, it sucks that he just threw his career away like that, all because he wanted the fame. The Kell Brook fight should have happened already. Should have been happened, and we should have been talking about either Khan exposing Kell Brook or Kell Brook exposing Khan or just destroying Khan. But instead, here we are 3 years later, and all Khan has done since that fateful night in December of 2014 where he looked like $1 million against Devin Alexander, all he's done since beating Devin Alexander is struggle with Chris Algieri, where Chris Algieri fought with a generic Antonio Margarito type style. Algieri came forward and he was piecing up Khan in many spots, and Khan barely escaped with a win in that fight, and then getting utterly just damn near killed by Canelo Alvarez for a payday. So it's just sad where Khan's career has gone, and I think this should be a lesson to fighters in boxing. You got to play, and I'm going to sound like Mayweather when I say this, but you got to play checkers, not checkers. You got to play chess, not checkers. Because if you would have got the IBF, if you would have beat Kell Brook, like so many people at that time would have picked against Kell Brook, he's in the driver's seat for one of those fights. He would have got at least, at bare minimum, he's getting a Pacquiao fight. Because Pacquiao would have saw that, and after losing to Mayweather, he would have said, I got to get back in the mix. Khan would have been someone I know Pacquiao would have been confident against because they sparred together. And Pacquiao used to piece Khan up in sparring. And, he would have jumped at the opportunity to fight Khan. But, Khan, the timing was off. And Khan, after beating Algieri, jumped right into a Canelo Alvarez fight where, he could have fought Andy Garcia. There was a lot of options for him. Even after the Algieri fight, there were still options for him. So I know I'm rambling, I know I'm talking a lot, but I don't think Amir Khan will ever be relevant at welterweight again. It just sucks because I think he's a good, exciting fighter to watch. I feel the division would be much better with him being relevant and towards the top 5. But it's gonna be an uphill battle because you look at these guys in the division. Danny Garcia, he'll be someone that isn't gonna be going anywhere. He'll be back in the mix. Errol Spence is going to be in the mix. You still have Bradley lying around in the weeds. Pacquiao still here. Kell Brook, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. These guys, especially when you talk about Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, and Errol Spence, those guys have all improved since 2014. All of them. Errol Spence is no longer a green prospect. Maybe still green, but not a prospect. Errol Spence is not a green prospect. Kell Brook is a world champion who's given arguably the most feared fighter in boxing some good rounds. You have Keith Thurman who, even though I think he lost at least one of the fights, has put up some good performances against Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. So these guys have all gotten better, and Amir Khan, he's got to make a change and quick if he wants to really ever be relevant again. I've often said that he needs to get a new trainer. I would love to see him get rid of Virgil Hunter. Virgil Hunter does not make fighters better. I don't know why people think Virgil Hunter is this amazing trainer. Is he a good motivational speaker? Is he, does he sound smart? Does he know how to motivate his fighters? Yes, I give him all the credit in the world for that. But and I don't want to make this an Andre Ward video, but let's look at Andre Ward. Andre Ward is someone that, when we look at his pure boxing skills, he's a B-level fighter. He's not an A-level fighter. He holds and hits a lot. And there's really not a lot of fluidity with his skill set. When we look at some of the other great fighters in boxing, you look at Roman Gonzalez, you look at guys like Kovalev, you got Golovkin, you look at Crawford, guys like that. These guys have fluidity within their skill sets. There's not a lot of boxing outside the rules, or they have stiff jabs that land with precision. Ward doesn't have that unless he's throwing that jab to the stomach, and that's really it. And so Ward's an example. Berto's another example. Berto's really never gotten any better. He literally said against Mayweather, Virgil Hunter literally said we don't have any game plan. We're just gonna go in there and try hard against Mayweather. So that tells you all you need to know about Virgil Hunter. And I don't know why fighters keep going to Virgil Hunter. It's not a good look. Khan should be with somebody who is gonna work on that footwork and allow Khan to use it, because Khan has fast feet. He can move around the ring, and he would be a much better defensive fighter if someone would just teach him some nuances of footwork and head movement and punch variation more than anything. Because if he maybe took a little speed or put on a little speed on some of his punches in certain scenarios, his punches have more of an effect. So I don't know. I've always wanted him to have a new trainer, but it just sucks, man. I was thinking a lot about Amir Khan recently, and he's not going to be a relevant fighter at welterweight again. And if he is going to be a relevant fighter at welterweight, it's not going to be with Virgil Hunter, and it's not going to be with I hate to say this too, because he's been putting out some good fights this year, but even Al Heyman, man, like Al Heyman has not been doing a good job with Khan. I mean, maybe he's focused on his other guys, but Khan should have a fight scheduled already. I talked to him in December, and he was supposed to have an opponent by January or in April. Still no opponent. And there's guys out there, there's guys in the PBC stable that would be easy fights for Khan to make. Maybe they reached out to these guys and we just haven't heard about it. But you look at guys like Victor Ortiz, Aaron Martinez, guys who are safe fights, names who have fought on PBC against other notable names that I'm sure would like to fight Khan, because that'd be good for their career. And nothing from that end. So it is what it is. There's a lot of things just going negative for Khan. And I just hope that, for the sake of the welterweight division and boxing at large, that Khan can become, relevant again. That he does show some improvements and turn it around, because he's a good fighter, an exciting fighter, and like I said, the division's better with him than without him. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Will Amir Khan ever be relevant at welterweight again? It's a question I think that needs to be asked, and I would like to hear from you guys in the comments. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.